great example. Companies use that all the time. They also use Slack as a tool. Another great practice is continuously gathering feedback from users and organizing into actionable inputs, right? And then prioritizing those actions for your development teams. So you should also look for tools that encourage asynchronous brainstorming, right? And that's what you want to call it. And it's important that everyone can share and comment on anything. Ideas, strategies, goals, requirements, roadmaps, and documentation. And do not forget about integrations and feature flags, by the way. Very important. So whatever you decide to scope your feature or project itself, it should be converted into user stories and your development backlog. So feature flags are like statements in the code base that enable teams to turn features on and off, and that's helpful. Next phase is build. That's number 2. You can either use Kubernetes or Docker as far as containerization is concerned, right? So while Puppet and Chef tools are primarily within operations, developers use open source tools like Kubernetes and Docker to provision individual deployment environments. So coding against virtual replicas, for example, also helps more work done. So let's talk about infrastructure as a code. So developers create modular applications, right? Because they're more reliable and maintainable. So why not extend that thinking to an IT infrastructure? And this can be difficult to apply at times to systems because they're always changing. So we get around that by using code for provisioning. Terraform tool is a great example, right? Check out my full course on Terraform right here on YouTube. So infrastructure as a code simply means that reprovisioning, faster than repairing, so more consistent and, systems basically. So it's important to have source control of your code. And source control tools help store the code in different chains. So you can, see every change and collaborate more easily by sharing that change. So rather than waiting on change approval before deployment to production environment, you can improve code quality and then throughput with peer reviews done by a pull request, for example. So a pull request, you simply ask, right? And pull requests tell your team about changes you pushed to the development branch in your repository. So now your team can review the proposed changes and discuss modifications before integrating into the main master pipeline, for example, right? So pull requests increase the quality of the software that results in less bugs, less incidents, which reduces operational costs and results in operational efficiency. So source control tools definitely should integrate with other tools as well, which allows you to integrate different parts of code development and delivery. And Git is a very good example. And this allows you to tell you, what is running in production. So for example, if something happens, an incident occurs, the code can be retrieved to shed light on the incident and be done with it. Next phase is continuous integration and delivery. That's 3, right? Jenkins is pretty popular, right? Circle CI is another tool. Bitbucket are among the popular within organizations. Code review by pull request, by the way, requires branching, right? Whether it's private branching or developers use their own branches that you can set up, right? Because that's fewer and faster branches are helpful, and that helps you maintain the code base and maintain automation. So look for tools that automatically apply tests to development branches and give you the option to push to main master branch, right, once they're successful. So along with that, you get continuous feedback through real-time chat alerts, maybe Slack or other tools, right? All right, let's talk about the test, right? Testing. So of course, there are many requirements for testing your entire code within the pipeline, right? And that's a requirement from the management as well. But for the DevOps tool chain, automation is an essential function, right? Automated reports and trend graphs that help you identify risk areas. And that really is a fact of life, because in software development, you get a lot of bugs. You can't mitigate what you cannot anticipate, right? So definitely do your operations team your favor, because they want to be able to look with you, right? So look for tools that support wall boards, maybe Kanban boards are helpful if you're into Agile, and that helps, right? So these tools are helpful when you're talking about testing, automation, and then exploratory testing as well. Deployment dashboards is very popular, by the way. So as a DevOps engineer, you'll be tasked to maybe create a a dashboard where you can, change tests, deployment into upcoming releases all into one place, right? So the last thing anyone needs before release is a long meeting to report on status. So this is where release dashboards come in and very, very handy. So for tools with a single dashboard integrated with your code repository and deployment tools, for example, right? Find something that gives you full visibility on all branches, builds, pull requests, and deployment warnings all in one place, right? An example would be maybe AWS Code Pipeline or Jira Service Management, right? So let's talk about automated deployment briefly. So there's no magic recipe here, right? It's just a matter of fine-tuning all these tools, right? But by converting operations into essential job for a DevOps engineer to automate all these processes, right? So you can use variables, for example, within your scripts so you don't make mistakes and you're not hard coding